This is Jim Cerny speaking. I'm the vice president, or one of the vice presidents of the STUG organization in Sarasota, Florida. Everybody's welcome. If you're a member, then the next half hour is intended to be helpful to you. If you're not a member, you're welcome to listen in and ask a question if you wish, and then we're going to twist your arm to become a member. So we hope you enjoy and get some questions answered. Huey will be taking over at 7 o'clock, and he has some announcements to make before we get with our regular scheduled program that starts at 7. So right now is the help desk, or the ask anything you want kind of session. And we have several experts of different backgrounds already on the call. So who will be first with the question for our experts? And I'm not one of them. We were talking about AI. Is there anybody has a question about AI? Continue that conversation.
Well, I was wondering, I was wondering if they've got things like this iCub, which was developed about 2011, I think it was. iCub was an AI robot, essentially, that learned the way a child learns. So it actually built up and developed its own way of thinking. What I was wondering is, if once it's got to a certain level, can they then clone that robot and make an exact duplicate of it? Or does it have to go through the whole process of learning as the first one did, the way humans do?
Robots are much different than AI, although there's AI involved with it, I believe. But
well, this one just looked like a robot, but it actually was an AI, one of the very first ones that was developed.
AI's been around a real long time, but it became popular when OpenAI came out with ChatGPT in November of 2022. So it's not even 2 years ago that it has just exploded and become mainstream, and businesses starting to use it and everything. So the older stuff would be very much out of date, and probably maybe some information that they gleaned back in those days, but I don't know whether it would have anything to do with with what people are using today.
Well, did you ever see the bit that they did on the iCub?
I got enough trouble keeping up with the stuff that's out today.
Well, the thing that was the most interesting about it was that they had two of these things talking to each other, and nobody had a clue what the heck they were talking about or what they were even saying, because they made up their own language.
Well, so, Google just came out with something called Notebook LM. I'm sorry. And what you can do is you can have it either look at a PDF or several PDFs or a lot of text or a YouTube video, and tell it that to go out and look at it and summarize it. And then it'll actually make a podcast out of the information that it finds. And the podcast is made up of a man and a woman discussing the information that's in that particular document or in that particular video. And it's just amazing how good and accurate it is. And it's available for any one of you to use. And it's notebook.lm.google.com, I believe it is. Or just search for Notebook LM.
I have a comment on the previous comment to yours, Huey, about two AI computers talking to each other. There is a movie that was made, I think, in the early 70s called Colossus, the Forbin Project.
Oh, yeah.
And that is exactly what happens. The United States builds a supercomputer with artificial intelligence to take over the defense of the United States. And unbeknownst to them, the Russians have done the same thing. and the two AI computers start talking to each other, and I won't tell you anymore. But it is a fascinating, fascinating movie that you can find, I assume, very easily on any old movie channel. And the computers take over the video cameras, everything. You know, the Ring doorbells that we have today, that would be nothing for these AI computers to take over. So
Yeah, do you remember who was in it?
I can look it up.
Yeah, it was Eric Braeden, who's the
Ah,
one that's in that Young and the Restless, and he was also in Rat Patrol as well.
yes, Rat Patrol guy. That's right.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah,
did
but
a
you're,
very
you're,
good
you,
job in this. Colossus, the Forbin Project, not to be
yeah,
missed by any AI
and
person.
there was one called Her, and there's another one. There was what something 2000. What was that? Um, HAL 2000. What movie did that come from?
Yes, that was from
2001.
2001, but you have to watch 2010,
Yeah.
the sequel, which is even, I thought, just as good, if not better than 2001.
They haven't,
But
they haven't made the third one yet, have they?
Not that I know of.
Yeah,
There
that's
is a science fiction movie.
That's 20. I think that's what 2061, where they discover an asteroid made of diamond,
I
and it
I have
completely
a
changes the whole financial structure of their.
I do a STUG meeting called Let's Talk AI the fourth Friday of every month. And if you're interested in AI, that would be the place to let me know that you want to be on the list. And I have a newsletter and we talk about AI. We had about 20 people this past month and about 20 the month before. It is open to people who are not members of STUG, but it is a STUG meeting and STUG group. And we've had some pretty good discussions about some of the things that are available out there right now and not fiction from 20 years ago.
I would like to hear the fiction from 20 years ago. Could you put those titles in the chat, please?
Yes, I can. I'll put mine in there. And while I'm doing that, could somebody come up with another question, please?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, Marilyn.
I'm very much interested in the subject of the meeting today, buying a new computer, because mine is a Hewlett Packard. I bought it in 2015. However, I'm well satisfied with it. I've never had any problems. But when I do the test for Windows 11, it will not accept Windows 11 with that TPM. So I know I'll have to get another computer, but in checking new computers, I find that a lot of them don't have a DVD burner.
That's
And
correct.
I really like having the DVD burner. So in the process, I found some refurbished Hewlett Packards on eBay. And I just wanted to know, what you would recommend on that, because then I think, well, if I buy a new computer, what am I going to do with my old computer? And I really like it. Why couldn't I have it refurbished and have a new motherboard or whatever it needs put into it? So
Cost
that's
you more probably more than a new computer. The other thing is that the Windows 11 does require some things that refurbishing an older computer, you're going to run the same boat you're in right now. Because yours works fine, it's just outdated and it's not going to run some of the things that you might want to run. It's not going to update, and you may find that with some of the refurbished, or they may be pretty good, depends on what they are. But as far as the DVD player and burner, you can get them with the USB. You plug them into your computer, about $20.
okay. All right.
So I wouldn't let that worry me at all.
You can
Whatever you
You can even get Blu-ray burners now too that'll plug into a USB.
Optical discs are obsolete. If
Yeah.
concerned seriously of having an 11 compliant machine and are looking at a used machine, most likely you're going to end up with getting a business class PC. A business class PC already has TPM capability, and as long as it is the 8th generation Intel or greater, it will run 11 natively.
Mhm. Now,
I see
I also,
I see our speakers here now, so I don't know that he's going to chime in now or wait until he does his presentation. But I think some of your questions should be answered, or if not all of them, when he does his presentation.
okay, all right. Thank you.
In my experience, I usually keep my old computer on a shelf just in case I want to go back to it, but I've never had an issue where I really had to go back to it. And eventually, of course, I turn it over to the refurbishing group or give it to somebody who needs a computer that doesn't care about the latest bells and whistles.
Yeah, if you do have an operating computer and you do get a new one, you don't know what to do with the old one, the STUG refurbish group will take it down and make sure all of your information is wiped. And then they set it up and give it to somebody who doesn't have any computer, doesn't have any access to a computer. And they put, right now they're putting Windows 10 on them. And it should work very well for those people to do their homework or to do whatever they need to do if they're adults. So,
Well,
so they,
I have donated to them in the past, but I'm in Pennsylvania, so it's a little hard for me to
Oh.
do.
well, yeah, well, you can drop it off
Yeah.
on your trip downtown. Yeah.
Now, I got some other information that Windows 10, if you keep it and you don't get Windows 11, they will charge you like a monthly fee. Did you ever hear that?
Only if you want to update it and add some of the updates. There will be some kind of a fee, and it won't be too bad the first year. The second year, it's going to increase, and the third year is even going to be more. So they are discouraging you from doing that. But yeah, it will be possible.
Huey or anybody, is there any other information about a stripped down version of Windows 11 that will run on a Windows 10 computer to at least have some functionality?
Tim, what do you say?
Offhand, there are versions of 11 that can run on any Intel version 1 processor forward, but it's called unsupported 11. The reason for this is it doesn't care that you don't have the proper CPU. It doesn't care you don't have TPM and several other demands on Windows 11 regular supported. So the end result is you're taking a little bit of a gamble. I've been running it for several years. I'm doing fine, but I'm a techie person. Most of you are not. And so whether this is a path to travel for the majority of you, I doubt it. If on the other hand, you're a tinkerer, you've worked on cars and the engines and stuff like that, you might have a chance at really having success with unsupported 11. There's also a tiny version that strips out a lot of the what they call bloatware of features that most Windows 10 users don't see, don't know, and don't care about.
Okay. Other comments on Windows 10 to Windows 11?
Well, I'm running on a machine right now. This is a Core 2 Quad processor, which will not support the next iteration of Windows 11 24H2. Right next to it is a Phonem 2 AMD system, about the same age, but it will support 24H2 Windows 11. And it runs better than 10 does, I'll tell you that much.
Just
have-
for our information, what is the way to, what can you key in on your current computer to find out if it can run Windows 11?
Honestly, like I say, I've got a little bit of an ISO image. You have to know how to burn it to a flash drive. When you boot up off of that flash drive, it'll tell you if it will handle 24H2, the next iteration of 11. But aside from that, generally speaking, any Intel processor that's a Core I processor will be able to handle 24H2 because it's looking for a microcode instruction that's inside the CPU chip. But you have to turn off like not checking the CPU that it's compliant and not having TPM compliant. And those are achievable through a program called Rufus Portable Edition. You can download a copy of 11 that will be modified so that it runs as unsupported hardware.
Okay, you're talking above the heads of, like you say, you're a techie, and not a lot of people here aren't. If you just want to have a computer that will run Windows 11, in most cases, yeah, there is a file, an app you can download from Microsoft, and it will tell you whether yours will run Windows 11 or not. I have one that's running Windows 11, 22H2, and it will not update to 23H2. And so I figure it's probably not going to update to 24H2 as well. That's not my main machine, but it is one I have.
Well, yeah, but 22H2 was the last version of 10, and there is nothing after that number-wise.
No, but in 11, I have 11,
Okay,
22H2.
you have 11. I've got 11, and I had 21H2, 22H2, and I'm on 23H2.
Yeah, mine won't go. It says it can't do it. And 22H2 expires on October 8th.
Yeah.
Today's the 2nd.
But did you go through the BIOS to check to see if it's got the TPM or the PSP?
I have not done that yet, and it is a Dell, so it might be able to be it might have what I need. I don't know. I haven't checked
Some
that.
systems, when you buy them, both of those are turned off. They were on mine.
They were normally turned off, but there's one little gotcha. Not all BIOS will show you that option, and it only applies if you have a CPU that has a PTT inside of it to make a synthetic TPM compliance. So it's a case where that and a lot of people would have to know how to do a BIOS upgrade, and most of you aren't going to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah,
Well, you just go into your setup essentially when you turn.
but a lot of these, a lot
That's
of
easy
people
enough to
here,
do.
when their computer gets too old, it's time for a new one. They're not going to go in and
Right.
try to figure it out. When I need a new car, I need a new car. I'm not going to go fix the one I have because I don't know anything about it. So, we have to go to the fact that a lot of people are going to be buying new computers, and that's why Rob is going to do his presentation tonight to tell you how
Okay,
to do
but
that.
Linux is also another alternative, and it works on old computers very, very well.
Linux and so Chromebook is another choice for a lot of people that would do. So, yeah,
Well, it's a good way to use an old computer, I would say.
yeah, for Linux, yeah.
Okay, you got a few minutes left. Next question, please. Don't be shy. You don't want to hear me talk.
Got a question.
Go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, go ahead,
What's-
Kate.
What's Chromebooks versus tablets versus whatever? I don't understand those at all.
Chromebook is a kind of like a netbook, but instead of it being on like a Windows OS or a Mac OS, it's really derived from a Linux. That's okay. It doesn't look like a Linux. It doesn't feel like a Linux. They have all kinds of apps. The main system is built around the Chrome browser. And so it's a case where if you're already familiar with a Chrome browser, unless you're an unusual person, a Chromebook will fit the bill for most people, particularly seniors. It's a good option. You just have to be careful what year was the computer manufactured, because they only support it for, I think, up to 7 years, unless they extended it to 10.
I have a laptop that it runs Chrome, but not my choice. Do I need a tablet or a Chromebook?
Well,
What's it going to do that my
uh,
laptop doesn't?
there is no Chromebook type OS per se for a tablet, but you may be able to run Chrome OS Flex operating system, but it's not as robust as what's in a Chromebook or a Chrome box.
What's the advantage of a Chromebook is you can install most Android programs and apps that will run on your phone. And you can install it on that device and it will work. On Flex, you cannot do that.
Correct.
My comment, if I
So
may,
if I
is that
run, I'm sorry. So if I have a laptop that runs PC that I use Chrome on, or I can use something else if I want, and I have a phone that's iOS, do I need any sort of tablet whatsoever?
A tablet's totally different than a Chromebook or a laptop. A tablet is usually anywhere from 8 to about 11 inches. And it is just that. It is one piece of it's like a screen that's got everything on it, including the keyboard.
Think of it as a supersized smartphone, whether
Yeah.
it's an iPhone or an Android. That's what a tablet is.
Okay, so in other words, I don't think I need one.
yes, my
Probably not.
comment would be that if you're happy with your laptop with Windows and you're running Chrome on it and you're doing everything that you want to do, you probably do not need a Chromebook. I understood Chromebooks came out because they were so much cheaper than a regular Windows PC that you would buy, quite a savings in money for mostly seniors that don't have money or living on a pension. And it's very powerful, but it didn't have a lot of memory. That it expected you to do everything online, which is fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to back up much because it's all saved online in the cloud. I do have a Windows PC, which I use all the time, and I have an iPad tablet that I use all the time. And it's just a matter of convenience. I use the iPad for entertainment, for videos, for news. I can do my email on it, but it's kind of more awkward because it doesn't have a keyboard that's separate. You can buy a keyboard that's separate. So a tablet is more handy for entertainment purposes and playing solitaire and games, whereas a Windows computer is for, you know, more finances and emails and things like that. Does that suit with, is that a good comment, rest of you? To kind of sum it up a little bit?
Yes.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Okay, good. Let's see, any other questions? Otherwise, I will turn it over to Huey to start the announcements. Any other questions from anybody? I have a quick question.
Okay.
if we go to Windows File Explorer, and I want to move a file or folder from one folder to another, if I drag it, it works most of the time. But sometimes it doesn't work, and I have to do a copy paste to make it work. Why the difference? Is it the size of the folder?
No, it's where you're copying it to. If you're copying it to the same drive,
Yes,
it will move it. If you do it to a different drive, it will copy it.
I understand that. What I'm doing is I'm talking about backups that is going to a different drive. I
Okay.
can drag some things and drop them on the other drive in any folder I choose. And some things, when I try to move the folder to the new drive, I have to do a copy and a paste. It won't drag it and make a
Do you-
copy.
Do you get any message at all?
No, just won't do it. Well, I probably do get a message, yeah. I'll have to try it and let you know what the message is.
That would be important. Yeah.
My thinking is that it's just too big. But I
Well,
don't know for
it could
sure.
it could also be system files as well, like desktop INIs and that sort of thing that it normally hides. If you've got system files turned off for viewing, it won't select those, and then it'll look empty, but it won't be.
When I do try to drag it, if I remember, it drags a link rather than the folder itself. So anyway, I'll play with it. Now maybe come up with something for next month. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you
or-
all for your time. It was we got some good information about the AI capability discussion and a little Windows 10 to Windows 11 discussion. And again, a little bit about laptop computers running Windows, tablets, iPads, and also the Chromebooks. So I'll put a little article in the next newsletter about it, and we'll see what happens. Any other comments from anybody before I turn it over to our fearless, and I mean fearless, Huey, for taking over and giving us some announcements? Okay, I'll put myself on mute. Thank you, everybody.